everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another series review video to share with you. So I'm going to be talking about the Addicted series and the Calloway Sisters series. So technically, these are two separate series, but there's a reading order that kind of combines the two. So that's why I'm talking about them both together. Most people now, because all of the books in both series are released, they read them in the reading order. So I'm excited to sit down and do this series review. I have a reading vlog up on my channel where I have read all of these books and I vlogged them. So I'll link that in the cards. It's a wild ride. There is spoilers in that. So if you've read both of these series, you can go watch that vlog. If not, I would stay away. But if you have not read this series, this video is for you. So you can decide if you want to pick it up because it is a commitment to read the series, okay? So as always with these series review videos, I'm going to break it up into 3 parts. I'll have timestamps linked in the description box below. I'm going to talk about the overview first, then I'm going to talk about the books individually, what I think about them, what I rated them, and the reading order. And then in part 3, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of this series, and then you can decide whether or not this series is for you and you want to pick it up and read it. So the overview. In the 2 series combined, I'm just going to say as a series whole, because there's a whole reading order, there's 10 books. The Addicted series is 5, and the Calloway Sisters is 5. So combined, yes, that's 10 books. It's a lot. We follow 6 different characters. We have Lauren Hale, we have Ryke Meadows, we have Richard Connor Cobalt. That's for you, McKay, if you're watching. And we follow the Calloway Sisters, which is Daisy Calloway, who's the youngest, Lily Calloway, who's the middle sister, and then Rose Calloway, who is the oldest sister. In the Addicted series, which is the first, I wouldn't say first 5 books, but the Addicted series that has 5 books, that follows Lily Calloway and Lauren Hale's story. Now, their series is not going to be for everyone. There's a lot that happens in this series. This is a childhood friends to lovers romance. These 2 characters, Lily and Lauren, or Lily and Lo, which I'll be using Lo just because that's what everyone calls him. They have known each other for years. Basically, the Hale family and the Calloway family, they've known each other. And, you know, Lily would stay over at Lo's, Lo would stay over at Lily's, and they've just always been in each other's lives. I do want to say, I think they're 18 years old. Both of them are 18. Their birthdays are right around each other. They're like the same age, if I'm not mistaken. I will say that there is so much that happens, and there are some sensitive subjects in these books. So Lily Calloway is our main female character in the Addicted series, and she has a sex addiction. And then Lauren Hale in this series has an alcohol addiction. So it's kind of like an all-encompassing character-driven series where we follow these 2 characters who are trying to love each other and have a committed relationship, but then you have individually them having their own addictions. Obviously, a sex addiction is gonna get in the way of a relationship, and having an alcohol addiction is also going to get in the way of them having a relationship. So it is a hot mess. I'm not going to lie. Their story is a hot mess. There is so much that happens. It's very dramatic. But then we have the Calloway Sisters series, which personally is my favorite. And it follows Connor Cobalt and Rose Calloway's story. And then we have Ryke Meadows and Daisy Calloway. So those 2 couples have 2 books in the series. And the last book, which is just basically like this big epilogue. So we see all of these characters in the Addicted series. It depends on how you read them. If you read them just in the Addicted series and then switch to the Calloway Sisters series, you're going to have some overlap. But you see all the characters throughout all of the books. They're all friends. They all crisscross. So Lo and Connor are kind of friends-ish. They have very interesting relationships. Ryke and Lo have a specific type of relationship, I should say friendship, which I'm not going to go into any spoilers for any of this, so don't be nervous about that. But yeah, all of the girls, obviously, since they're all sisters, you see their stuff. Now, Rose is the oldest Calloway sister, and she is running kind of her own kind of like fashion type boutique, I guess you can say. And Connor is, I think he's going to school. He's in the middle of, I want to say his master's. He's like high up there in school. So they're a little bit older than Lily and Lo. Lily and Lo are kind of like the middle children, quote unquote, even though Lo, he's an only child. But then you have Rose Calloway and Connor, who are kind of like the older ones. And they have this very interesting relationship. When I mean they're truly equals, they really are truly equals. And I will say that Connor Cobalt pines after Rose so much. So if you're looking for a pining hero, Connor is your dude. He pines hard after Rose because he knows that she is the one for him, kind of a thing. And I really enjoyed their story. My personal favorite of these 3 couples are Ryke and Daisy. This is an age gap forbidden romance. We see Ryke, he is one of the older ones. He's up there in age. I think he's probably the oldest out of all of these, all 6 of the characters. and Daisy is the absolute youngest. So there is a pretty big age gap. I want to say it's 10 years, but we see, I think in the Addicted series, Reich and Daisy's 16 and Reich is 26, but they don't have, in their book, nothing happens until she's 18. So if you're wondering about that, it's not like anything underage. Of course, Reich feels like protective because he's been in Daisy's life for so long, but Daisy is a model. Daisy is this high-paid model. She deals with a lot of things that come with that life, modeling, with your appearance of your body, of how people perceive you, what you should be acting, what you should be doing, all of that stuff like that as a woman. And then you have Reich, who is this thrill-seeking person. He climbs mountains. I don't know. He scales mountains. He's crazy, okay? He's just crazy. But that's basically just an overview of the characters, the tropes and stuff like that in each of these books. So now I'm going to dive into the reading order. There is a specific reading order, let me just tell you. So the reading order is right here. It says recommended reading order, and I'll go through that. That's what I'm going to go through. But Addicted to You, which is the first book, relatively short, 300 pages, about 300 pages. The next book is Ricochet, which is more of a novella length book. I think it's like 200 pages or less. Yeah, this is 250 pages or less, and this is another Lillian Lowe story. The next one is Addicted for Now, which is a little bit thicker book. This really dives into more of Lillian Lowe's relationship, and that's why it's a little bit thicker, but this is the third book that you should be reading. The next book that they recommend, Becca and Krista Ritchie, is Kiss the Sky, which is the first book in Connor and Rose's story. I have the guide covers for the Calloway sisters and the original and the newer covers for the Addicted series. Next book is Hot House Flower. This is the first book in Reich and Daisy's story. Obviously, we have Reich on the cover. Love him to death. Then we have Thrive by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which is Lillian Lowe's fourth book, technically. After Thrive, you should read Addicted After All, which is the last book in Lillian Lowe's story. Of course, you see them in the other books, but this is the end of their kind of drama. I should say that. It's not really, but it's their last book, technically. And then you should read Fuel the Fire, which is Connor and Rose's second book. And after that, you should read Long Way Down, which is Reich and Daisy's last book. And after that, you get to the thick-ass epilogue book, which is Some Kind of Perfect. This is the original cover, I think, and I don't think they've redone it. If they have, I don't have it. But this is the epilogue book that you should read last. So now I'm going to dive into that reading order book by book, give you a little bit of overview, and just talk about my rating. So if you are similar to me and my taste in reading, these ratings will kind of give you a little bit better understanding of how I feel about these books. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into that. The first book is Addicted to You, and this is the first book in Lillian Lowe's story. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It is interesting. A lot of stuff happens. We are introduced to Lillian Lowe's chaotic life. It's angsty, it's dramatic, kind of fast moving. You kind of really just pick up, you're dropped into the world, into Lillian Lowe's life. You're really in it. You see their addictions. I think you get both points of view. I do know you get both points of view in most of Lillian Lowe's book, but I think this is just from Lily's point of view, if I'm not mistaken. Is it a little bit over dramatic? A little bit, but it's a good introduction to kind of all the characters, if that makes sense. You see a little bit of the dynamic between the sisters, so it's a good start. Solid start. The next book is Ricochet, and I gave this book 4 stars. This is definitely a novella. The first book ends with a cliffhanger. And this is kind of all of Lily's struggle while Lowe is away. I don't want to say any more than that, but they're separated for a time, and you see all of Lily's thoughts in this book, and what she's going through by herself. So it was okay. Gives insight. Not my favorite, but it's there. The next one is Addicted for Now, which you see Lily and Lowe back together. You see their life. You are introduced to Reich in this book, kind of what he's doing, and you kind of see glimpses of him and Daisy's kind of start to a friendship. They definitely have a friendship before they have a romance, obviously, because she's a lot younger. But this one, I gave it 4 stars, but I'm not gonna lie, Lily is my least favorite character. We really get to see Lily and her thought process. Obviously, Lowe has a lot of character growth in this series, obviously, but in this one, you really get to see how far he's come. I will say that, but Lily is just an annoying character to me, and I know some of my other friends have read this book, and they also feel that way. I just feel like you don't really get any substance with Lily other than she has this sex addiction, but she's not really doing anything to get over it. Kind of like on the flip side, you see Lo and his addiction and what he's doing to kind of get past it. So I don't really see the same kind of like effort, which is kind of annoying to me, but it was a good introduction to Lo more so and Reich and their kind of friendship. Also, you see more of Connor and Rose, kind of like their introduction, because after you read this book, you should read Kiss the Sky, which is the first book in Connor and Rose's true story. And I'm pretty sure you definitely get both of their kind of points of views in this book, which, like I said previously, Connor and Rose, they have a solid equal relationship and friendship. And I gave this 4.5 stars. After Reich and Daisy, Connor and Rose really come to a close second of my favorite. Like, they are up there. I'm someone who loves equals in a relationship, and Connor and Rose are literally equals in every way. They are, like, I know this sounds weird, but like Connor is the male version of Rose and Rose is the female version of Connor, but not in like a creepy way, kind of like in a they are equals way. And when they put both of their minds together, they can literally do anything. In this book, you really get the introduction to the reality show, which is something that you don't always see. But Lily and Lo's story kind of like cuts off with Addicted for now. You dive into why they're all living in a house together and why they have this reality show and what's going on with that. And other people come into play, which I'm not going to say who, but they come into play. Things happen. Not gonna lie, I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to spoil anything, but this is Connor and Rose's first book in their story, and it is, I say, pretty good. After that book, you read Hothouse Flower, which is Reich and Daisy's first book. And when I tell you Reich and Daisy are my absolute favorite, they really are. This book is a 5-star read for me. You definitely get both Reich and Daisy's story. I will say Daisy is kind of, I feel like, an underrated character. He is a hothead. He literally cusses up a storm, which is why I love him so much. I relate to him in so many ways. He comes from not the same side of the tracks as all the others, as all the others do. He grew up not poor, but like in a middle-class family, in a normal family, while all the other characters, the Calloways, Lo, Connor, grew up very, very rich. They are very, very well-off family, so they never have to really work for anything, and Reich has had, so there's that kind of aspect that you get to see too. In Daisy, you get to see more of her truly as Daisy. All the other times she's mentioned, it's this model, she's doing this, she's off to this fashion show, she's off to this photo shoot, right? But she has this, like, what she feels on the inside and what she should be doing, and Reich kind of plays into that, like how Reich is on the outside and how everyone sees him. Daisy is kind of, the thrill-seeking, adrenaline junkie like Reich, so that's kind of their kindred spirits in that way, and I personally really enjoyed their story. This is a very slow burn book, so be prepared for that. My least favorite of this whole damn series is Thrive. If you are doing this reading order, this book is fucking pointless, and I wholeheartedly agree, and I hated that I read this book. I hated it. Basically, in this book, you are catching up with Lily and Lo. What happens in Fuel the Fire and Hothouse Flower. So while Rose and Connor are having the beginning of their story, while Reich and Daisy are having their beginning of their story, you see Lily and Lo and what they're doing in those books. Like, it's mentioned quite a bit. This is just their inner thoughts. And it's like, what is the point of this book when we see what's happening with them? I personally, because I don't like Lily and Lo's relationship, they're my least favorite. I just do not like them. I have said that multiple times. This book is pointless to me. Now, if you're a fan of Lily and Lo, you might enjoy this book, but I did not. We'll just say that. I did not. Now, after that, you read Addicted After All, and I gave this book, let me see what I gave it. My review is 3 stars for this one. Basically says, this is the end of Lily and Lo's story. Thank goodness. Basically, you see kind of like all of the things that they've been dealing with someone. Try to keep it very vague, but you see what happens with someone, and how it's kind of like infiltrated their relationship, how it plays out. The end. 3 stars to this one. These are some thick books, y'all. I have a lot of feelings. The next book you should read is Fuel the Fire. I gave this 4.5 stars. This is Connor and Rose's second book, and I, like I said, just really enjoyed it. They're really equals. I love the story. I'm here for the commitment. Can't talk about anything that happens in this book because it's definitely going to spoil a lot of things. But that was a 4.5 star read. Long Way Down, 5-star read for me. Love Reich and Daisy. I think this is the thickest besides the epilogue book. This is the thickest. And I devoured this book. I love Reich and Daisy. I love everything they stand for. They have such depth to them. Connor and Rose do have a lot of depth to them too. You see them in these two books. There's both their second books, both of the couples. You see kind of, you dive into more of their relationship and what's going on and how they are really feeling and working through things. And I personally loved it. I devoured this one. Reich and Daisy forever. Crazy forever, I should say. And the last one is Some Kind of Perfect. Holding all these books up is really heavy. This is a 700 pages. Yes. This is a 700 page epilogue, and I gave this 3 stars. Way too long. I usually like an epilogue for maybe each point of view, right? I don't need this. And I say this is more of an epilogue book. This is literally like going down the years. And the reason why they have this book, I'll tell you wholeheartedly, the reason why this book is a thing is because it is setting up for the children of these characters. The first book is Damaged Like Us. I am interested in those characters. I have the audiobook of Damaged Like Us, which is Lillian Lowe's son and the partner. It's an MM romance, I'm pretty sure. But basically this just sets it up so it's kind of like fast forwarding through all the kids' lives and you see them getting older. It is kind of sweet because I get to see Rose and Connor and their kids, and I get to see Reich and Daisy and what they're doing. I enjoyed it, just those parts, but there's Lillian Lowe in it as well, so it's 3 stars. It's average. It does not need to be this long. It's just, basically, if you're a fan of this series, you will really, really enjoy it. But if you're only a fan of half of this series, like I am, the Calloway sisters, you're only going to enjoy it a little bit. That's pretty much my thoughts on all of those. Now we're going to jump into the pros and cons of the series as a whole. Okay, so the pros and cons of this series, the first one is a pro and a con, and I'll just get it out. This is a character-driven story. If you do not like character-driven stories, this probably isn't for you. Like I said, the Addicted series is Lily and Lowe's story, very character-driven. I mean, there's like some plot stuff, but it's not like the world. It's mostly just like the whole conflict of a lot of this is the media coming into their lives because they are so well-known, because they are so rich, if that makes sense. So it's a character-driven story, character-driven series. If you love that, that's a pro. If you don't love that, that's a con. Just throwing it out there, being 100% real. Now, another pro is there's a huge found family aspect. I personally really enjoyed the found family aspect. Now, the Calloway sisters are sisters. They're literally blood related. But at the same time, they go through it. They're sisters. They fight. They bicker. A lot of things happen. But I also love how all the characters have an individual relationship. So Lily has an individual relationship with Reich and with Connor. And then Rose has an individual relationship with Lowe, which is very enemies. They hate each other. But then you have Reich and how they're kind of thing, advice, and mix it all around. So they do become this family. And when they're all in the house together for the reality TV show, you really get to see that found family aspect and how much they're there for each other and what each character will do for the other. So I personally enjoyed it. Like, Daisy is such a little sister to Lowe and Connor, and I personally really enjoy seeing that development. Rose is very much a big sister. She takes that very seriously, so Lowe is not her favorite character. Now, it is a very addicting series. It's called the Addicted series for a reason, obviously because they deal with addiction. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but it is a very addicting series. Once you pick up one book, you kind of want to keep reading. Like I said, my personal favorite is the Calloway Sisters series. I just personally enjoy that story more. I felt like it had it had a lot of depth, a lot more depth to the characters and what they're going through. Not that I related to it, but it was easier to relate to, if that makes sense. That's my own personal thing. I just don't care about Lily and Lowe. I do not care about them. What makes the series so addicting is all the characters are very interesting. Now, Lily and Lowe are not my favorite, but how do I say this? Lowe's my favorite out of the two of them. Lily is definitely low in the totem pole, but all the characters are interesting. Some people love Lily. She's very quirky. She's not my favorite to read with quirky characters, so that's why she's my least favorite. But now I'm going to get into the cons. Like I said, first con, character-driven story, take it as it is. These are very long books. It is a commitment. It is a commitment to read these books. I'll just tell you that. These are very dramatic. It's sometimes over dramatic, sometimes too dramatic, but I will say, they're also not the best written books. Krista and Becca Ritchie have been around for a while, okay? I think they're twin sisters. I didn't know that. I thought they were just sisters, but they're twin sisters. They can write, I'll tell you that. They have a lot of books out. Personally, The Addicted series is more of the con, and the Calloway Sisters series is the pro. I personally love the Calloway Sisters series. How many times am I going to say that in this video? Over the Addicted series. I personally think the reading order is stupid. I think the only reason why the reading order is there is to make you buy all the books to read them in order. And no, they are not on Kindle Unlimited. Most of the time, it's hard to get them through your library. The only way to read them is if you buy all the ebooks or you buy all the paperbacks, like my dumbass did. I bought all the paperbacks before I read them. Okay, and that was a mistake on my part. But now I refuse to get rid of them because I spent so much money on them. On the paperbacks, but that's your money. You spend it how you want. You know what I mean? But that's another con. Now, as a whole, I personally would only recommend the Calloway Sisters series. I think you can pick up Kiss the Sky, which is the first book in the Calloway Sisters series, and you can just read the 4 Calloway Sisters series, which is Kiss the Sky, Fuel the Fire, Hothouse Flower, and Long Way Down. Not in that order, but like in the reading order. And you'd be totally fine. You can totally skip Lily and Lo's story if you don't really care about them. I would say at least give Addicted to You a try so you can see if you like Lily and Lo's story, but I personally didn't, and I just read it because that's what the reading order said, but I think the reading order is stupid, which is a con. So I hope you enjoyed this series review. You can let me know in the comments if you've read this or not. Drop me the kisses emoji, like the kissing lips, because they're on the back of all of these books, and I'm looking at them right now. You can let me know in the comments if you've read this series, and if you enjoyed it or not. Please let me know what series you would like me to review next. I am always looking for a new series to read and review for you guys, but I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.